Ladies and gentlemen, next presenter from the working groups from Northeast Bridge Preservation Partnership on the local agency side, Mr. Gregg Freeman with Kwik Polymers. Greg.
Yeah, so I want to share with everyone here in the Northeast group, we are a national working group, and I don't know that we've ever made it around to this part of the country. Even though I grew up in Pennsylvania, I mean, I live in Colorado now, but my family started building bridges here in the 80s, and I'm happy to come back and be in this part of the country and visit my family. So I don't know how many of the folks in this room know that local agencies own and maintain pretty much somewhere around half the bridges in the whole country. You know, what are we here for as far as why did we even form this local agency outreach working group? There's a pretty substantial initiative trickling down from the federal highway to educate the local folks on increasing preservation and you know, we want to educate locals as far as what is preservation. Historically, it's been kind of a worst first approach. It seems to be the trend in which the way that locals can access funds in the first place for even taking care of the bridges is that we have to replace our bridge now, give us some money. And that's not really a long-term effective way to manage our bridges and infrastructure here. We also wanted to look at what are ways in which locals are utilizing preservation actions and activities and considering putting it into some sort of a asset management format. A lot of the times the local agencies don't have a lot of money, they don't have administrative support, they don't understand a whole lot about asset management, yet alone how bridge preservation or a program can fit into an asset management plan. Overall, if you look at the trends, you can see that the good bridges are kind of going down into the poor area. The poor bridges are slowly increasing, but we need to get ahead of it here, and that's our goal and our intent. Who is this local agency outreach working group? We are part of the TSP2 program. We are a national group. We started in the West, but we are now a national effort. Myself with Travis Kinney, who used to manage maintenance program at the Oregon DOT, now with David Evans and Associates. We've got 40 plus members. We got DOT folks, county and city engineers, federal highways involved. We work closely with LTAPs around the country and consultants and industry members. And I'll share a little bit more of where we are, where we're going, what we're doing. We've put this Intro to Bridge Preservation training program together, and we've given over 20 trainings around the country. We're able to offer CEU credits for that through the TSP2 partnership, which is a good option. And it's kind of slowing down. We need to kind of ramp this back up. I don't know if any folks in this room see value in helping to support and train the local agencies in better understanding preservation, but it's an hour and a half, 90-minute presentation. We talk about how preservation fits into an asset management plan, identifying candidates for preservation. Funding is a big thing. I'll share more about what we're learning and how we're trying to help educate locals what type of funding mechanisms are available, and also help coordinate efforts of the state agencies supporting trickling funds down to the locals for preservation, and looking at preservation activities is part of this as well. One slide that's presented came from the Federal High Bridge Preservation Guide, and so we utilize that guide as well, looking at the three arms of replacement, maintenance, rehabilitation, and preservation, how that all fits together within an asset management plan. Nancy helped us make this slide. These are the states in which we've given presentations. Do we have any local agencies represented here today? Oh, great. Okay, well that's a start. We tried to kind of let PennDOT folks know that it's not that hard to bring the locals in. There's not a lot of costs involved because typically they don't have to drive so far. So nationally, the TSP2 program, we're really trying to get a lot more locals to participate in this program. If you are close to a partnership meeting, it's low cost. But also, if you want to get involved on a national level, I think it's just over $2,000 to join, but that basically covers hotel rooms, transportation. It covers everything. I mean, you get more out of it than the actual cost for a local agency to join the TSP2 program. Pat mentions these pocket guides earlier, and even though this isn't directly a product of the local agency outreach working group, it's more of a product of the Federal Highway Bridge Preservation Expert Task Group. These pocket guides are a really great tool. Right now, I think we've got 7 or 8 of them. And anyone in this room can pick up your Android phone right now as you're listening to me, or your iPhone, type in under the app Bridge Pocket Guide, and you can pull up the phone app version of these pocket guides. We designed these guides primarily to look at potential failure mechanisms involved with the use of these various preservation actions and technologies. And a lot of work has gone into these guides. They're pretty much a checklist format. An inspector can use these, a contractor can use these, a designer or spec writer can use these to look at, am I missing anything under the QA/QC product of my specification? These are really good tools for specifiers, designers, contractors, inspectors. And if you got your phone in your hand, you can type in there Bridge Pocket Guide under search, and you can pull up any one of these guides, or you can go to the TSP2 webpage and pull up the PDF version. Another interesting thing, and I don't know how many folks in this room are familiar with AASHTO, the TC3 training tool. There's a lot of videos and a lot of training resources available through this. And as far as I know, I think any local agency has free access to these training tools. And what they've done here, they've taken some of these pocket guides and created training videos. So if you're thinking this pocket guide might be a good tool and you want to teach your folks how to use the tools, you can literally go into the AASHTO TSP2 program through that link there. And if you're a local agency or a state agency that's paid for the program, you can go in there and you can look at the sister training video. It's pretty cool that they went and put the effort into creating videos that kind of paralleled how to use these various pocket guides. Another thing that this TSP2 program did, and this was in conjunction with the Federal Highway Bridge Expert Task Group. I'm hoping, I don't even know if I'm literally allowed to put that little photo there. That's a copy of what we think is going to come out, is an overview, kind of like a case study report out of our over 500 responses we got with this local agency survey. We wanted to look at what locals were doing with preservation, if they were funding it, how they were funding it, how they were coordinating with the state agencies and various things like that. And we learned a lot through this, and we hope it does come out. It's pretty much going through the final processes of getting approval through the Federal Highway, so that report should come out soon, hopefully. A lot of agencies have smaller or larger inventory. Some don't do preservation at all. They don't have the resources or the maintenance crews. We looked at various funding mechanisms to see how and if they were getting down to the locals. Some local agencies were funding their own activities. Some didn't have any money at all. It's a really wide, diverse range in the way that locals were looking at preservation, funding preservation or not, or even had administrative folks, or even anybody at all to consider bridges, yet alone preservation of bridges. So a broad range. We did find a number of states that we highlighted, and PennDOT, I know is doing a good job in funneling money through some newer programs that I think was Justin mentioned. We could have included PennDOT in this, but we did look at Michigan, Indiana, and California, kind of unique states that were looking at creative ways to funnel money down to local agencies for preservation. And I didn't want to get into all the details here today. The state of Michigan, they have various ways in which they look at prioritizing preservation projects. And the big thing that they did, I think it seems to something that we've learned, is this NEPA, these environmental hurdles become to be a big kind of roadblock for administering preservation activities and actions, especially on a local level. And I see some people making some faces here that recognize that. But one thing that Michigan did is they were really able to streamline that process, and it helped push these processes through. They have regional bridge councils. They put together a 3-year plan. They look at each region's plan. They evaluate the effectiveness of their plans. There's a substantial investment in the state of Michigan on funding preservation for locals, and it's a very highly effective program. We've got some other slides that I don't have some of the data, but they funnel gas tax dollars into it, and you can look at the number of bridges that have gone into poor condition over the years. They started funding preservation, and you can see the number of those bridges falling into poor condition has just gone down year after year. And half of the bridges, I think, in the state of Michigan are owned by locals. They split the money between preservation, rehab, and replacement, but they are really pushing preservation actions. The state of Michigan is one of those states that has realized the value of the preservations and actions and activities through their own program. And so through this Regional Bridge Council, they really are able to fund a lot of preservation. I want to highlight Indiana because as a local agency outreach, looking at various states and how can we get into the states and train the locals and educate the locals. Indiana, I think, is one of the states maybe done one of the best jobs at training local agencies. They put together annual event that they bring a lot of locals into. They bring a lot of industry folks in. They do a lot of training. They do a lot of live field demos. They've come up with a lot of ways. In fact, there are here's some of the training. They do a lot of work through LTAP with the industry folks and with the TSP2 industry folks. So it's a good avenue if anyone in this room, on the industry side, Indiana is a great state because they're very enthusiastic about supporting these types of training. But as far as funding mechanisms, they've gotten really creative. They've got some state tax dollars and various initiatives that they've put together and done a great job through this cumulative bridge fund of bringing various resources down to the locals, educate them the value of preservation. They're actually also educated on putting asset management plans together on a local level, and there's an incentive to access these funds by putting some sort of asset management plan together, and it's a pretty successful program. California, even though they put this bridge investment credit program together back, I think, in 2015, they use federal dollars for the larger projects, but what they'll do is they'll encourage locals to put together small preservation and rehab projects, and then they'll fund them, pay them back, and fund these larger projects. So one thing that we did learn, it really is not that easy to access federal dollars on a local level for preservation actions and activities. But the partnerships between the state agencies and the local agencies and coordinating that effort, things like this bridge investment credit, and that seems to be what's happening on a national level. The states are working really, they're not always, don't see the value. The states don't always see the value of working with the locals, but I think the tides are turning. And so there seems to be more incentive and more effort on a state level to support locals getting funding, finding funding, and understanding the value of preservation and asset management plans. A little bit more on the big program. It's not quite as successful as we had thought it might be, but it's starting to catch on in the state of California. We've got a lot of bridges and a lot of dollars there. One of the things that I'm most excited about, industry demo Rodeo. We're partnering with the ITD group that just presented here before me, and our effort is to look. We put out an initial email to the industry folks that are involved in the partnership here, and I think we've got at least 40 or more responses, like right away. We've done this at the National Bridge Preservation Partnership meeting in Orlando a few years back.
It was very good.
It was really successful. We did videos there. A lot of the folks, that were represented through the state agencies and the locals that were there found it of a lot of value. I mean, 15 or 20 years ago, I used to go all around the country talking to regions and districts and maintenance crews and locals. I think for a while, it kind of fizzled out. there is a lot of value understanding quality control, how to use these products and technology, when to use them, when not to use them, and actually hands-on, especially the crews that are out there doing this kind of work. When they see how these products and technologies are used and really understand it, understand best practices, it really adds to the value of the work that they're doing out there on behalf of the taxpayers and the owners as well. But it also creates a lot of passion and understanding. When I was doing this, what I saw is that, that these maintenance crews really take pride in the work they do. A lot of the times the contractors do, but often a lot of the times the contractors are low bid. They need to come in and get in and get out. But there's a lot of value in teaching this. So we're looking for partners right now. We're looking for support, hosting events. State agencies, a lot of folks just recently participated in a program. State of Idaho got a grant. I don't know if it was a national grant, but they put together, the LTAP folks put this 3-day workshop together. It was really successful. Training all their maintenance crews. There were quite a few people there. Chris was involved with the Pacific Northwest. How many people were there? Over 400?
Over 400.
Over 400 people. And you did all kinds of demos. One of the most successful parts of that was kind of a testimonial case studies where the maintenance crew folks got together with industry folks and got up there, presented what they've learned. These types of events, like this type of event here, where the industry folks can partner with the agencies that have used the products and technologies of what they've learned. It's really valuable. So we're trying to do that with this demo rodeo, but more hands-on. We need state champions that have events, that want to see their crews understand the value of these products and technologies. We've got support from industry. They're willing to come out, they're willing to travel, they're willing to spend the money to come out and get in front of the right audience and demonstrate the products and technology. We need the LTAP and NACE folks. We have support in a lot of states from LTAP. Some states, they don't care to even talk about it or return phone calls. In some states, they're jumping up and down, doing their own events, and please come and help us. NACE, now we're starting to get their attention, and on a national level, they're looking to see some more of this stuff, support for local agency training, because that's what they do. Our partnership here, we're starting to see more momentum. We want more local members to join. We want events, and so we're looking for help. You can talk to Chris, you can talk to Nancy, you can talk to myself, and help us organize some events. And we've got the industry folks ready to get on board. Conclusions: all local agencies are a lot different. You have some that have a lot of funding, they have administrative support, they have support from the state agencies, they've got bridge engineers. Then you have some, they have no administration, they don't have time to even look at bridges, they're barely staying afloat. That's very common. They wear different hats, they aren't bridge experts. Sometimes there's great champions, and this is what we're seeing. It only takes a champion, and whether it's a state champion that cares about the local bridges, or somebody local, or somebody at LTAP or something that really says, hey, this is valuable, I want some kind of legacy, I don't want to just sit around, I want to do something of value. They stand up, they really, you guys know, there's just champions out. There's champions here in this room that do something, they feel value, they're passionate about it, and that's what we're seeing. Those are the people that are making a difference and making this stuff happen. There are opportunities for this TSP2 program to engage locals more, and we haven't done a great job doing that, and so we're just starting to do that. Everyone in this room can help support that effort. Where have local agencies found the tools and connected the dots? Subject matter experts in critical positions, people that understand the value of bridge preservation. That's important, and they're in a position where they can make decisions. They come up with ways to come up with creative funding resources to get money down to locals. Communication among stakeholders, state agencies talking to locals, passion, training the stakeholders, and we're here to support that effort. And looking at the value of preemptive actions and activities. You're going to get more money preemptively spending money for early age preservation actions and activities, then you're going to be replacing bridges. We know that. Everybody in this room, if you haven't learned that, you will by the time you go home after this thing here. Incorporating recommendations into inspection programs. I mean, that's coming in with bridge management systems and looking at element level inspections and new tools with non-destructive evaluation and looking at new ways to inspect bridges and collect data. There's going to be more impetus to look at funding preservation more effectively within an asset management plan and doing it right and getting the most bang for our buck. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Any questions? We're over for
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.